The aviation industry is a critical player when it comes to tourism in Zambia. This is because when you get to Zambia for the first time, you experience hospitality and who we are at the airport. That is why today I sit down with Mr. Josiah Mvula. He is the Business and Planning Manager for Zambia Airports Corporation Limited. We speak about how government is working with the aviation sector and the Ministry of Tourism and Tourism Agency to ensure that you have a better experience of this country. My name is Lillian Chipeso.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that's a very good question. So the government of the Republic of Zambia has invested quite heavily in infrastructure that obviously help tourism. We have KKIA, which has got a new terminal building, which is now the international terminal and domestic. This has expanded the capacity of the airport in terms of handling of passengers, including tourists. And then we also have projects that were undertaken on the Copper Belt. There's a completely new greenfield airport that was been built coming out from the old terminal and old airport in Ndola. Also, the government has embarked on a number of infrastructure development to bring certain provincial airports to a certain standard. So we've got projects that are going on to rehabilitate Mvula International Airport. There are also where Mansa Airport is being rehabilitated, Kasama, and also Solwezi is on the cards. But also, most importantly, there's some new airports that are being developed like Nakonde, Choma, Kasaba Bay. And if you notice, most of these airports are in tourism hotspots. So this is going to ease connectivity to those tourism sites. Yeah, well, airports definitely make the first impressions for someone coming in the country. If you just arrive, obviously you'll be greeted by staff from ground handling, and then when you enter the terminal building, you'll be greeted by, you'll be dealt with immigration and also customs. The ambience of the airport, I think, also makes an important impression to the passenger. And then when they come out of the airport, obviously what they see first has a lasting impression. But also when they're departing, also you've got so many touch points that these passengers go through from the car park. When they're entering the airport, they come into the terminal building, you know, they go through the check-in processes, they go through security screening, immigration, and then inside the terminal building, you know, you need to have facilities, you know, such as restaurants, you know, shopping facilities, amenities, maybe even something that they can carry as memorabilia from the country. So all those touch points are very important. You'd want to know that also there are so many stakeholders that operate in this space. It's not just Zambia airports. So we liaise with a lot of these stakeholders, you know, like police, immigration, the retailers, the restaurant owners, and so forth. So we make sure that all these touch points leave a good experience to the passengers, because we know it's the first and the last impression that is taken by the passengers. So we've got deep collaboration with key stakeholders such as the Zambia Tourism Agency, the Ministry of Tourism, Tourism Council of Zambia, and recently we've got a subcommittee that has been formed, which is called Air Access Zambia. So what this subcommittee basically is assigned to do is to work on connectivity for the country. which is going to help not just the Zambia airports when we go to see airlines, but you see airlines are interested to see what other organizations are doing in terms of getting numbers up. Because for airlines to come, to make it viable, they need numbers. And those numbers usually will come from trade, will come from tourism, will come from visiting friends and family and so forth. But also the government recently increased the number of countries that have got visas that are waived. So this has helped a lot, especially from the target tourism markets. In addition to already countries such as, to blocks such as COMESA and SADC that have got waived visas. But I think the expansion of the list of countries that have been waived has assisted in growing these numbers. Also, we have got forums that we attend where airlines and airports, airlines that are actively looking for new destinations to fly to, and airports that are looking for airlines to fly into these destinations, such as the world routes, Aviation, and so forth. So these forums help to target these airlines that are actively looking to get into these destinations, and this is where the Air Access Zambia comes in. We target these airlines jointly, and we try to attract them into the country. Also, I think we also need ZDA, for example, to maybe play a bigger role in attracting investment in tourism infrastructure. We know that they've been focusing on trade, mining and energy sectors, but I think it's important that they also attract investment in areas such as developing bed spaces, conferencing facilities. In other countries, MICE, which is meetings, incentives, conferences and events, is such a big draw for attracting people to come into the country. So if you look at Zambia right now, I think the biggest conferences can hold only about, say, 2,500 delegates. I've attended conferences where you've got delegates 5,000, sometimes up to 10,000, which we don't have in Zambia. So those conferences can't come here. So we need, investment in those areas. But this should be backed up, obviously, with hotel bed space, because you can't have conference for 5,000 or 10,000, but then you don't have the bed space to support that. So we need ZDA, to make a lot of strides in attracting that investment into the country. Well, Zambia is connected with quite a number of key global airlines, such as Emirates, Qatar, Turkish Airlines, and these airlines have got massive connectivity to the rest of the world. So if you're coming to Zambia, you don't have to make so many stops like in the past to come to the country. You can go to almost any destination with just one stop, either via Dubai, via Doha, or via Istanbul, which has helped with connectivity for the country and making the country accessible. But also, we also have quite a number of regional airlines that operate into the country. We've got airlines such as Ethiopian Airlines, Kenya Airways, South African Airways, Airlink, Rwanda Air, Uganda, Air Tanzania, and recently Eswatini and Air Botswana. All these airlines fly into the country, and so we are quite well linked with our neighbors and countries in the region. Among our neighbors, we only have 3 countries that we are not directly connected with flights. That is Angola and Mozambique and DRC. DRC, we have links. Air Tanzania flies sometimes from Lusaka to Lubumbashi and also from Ndola to Lubumbashi. But obviously talks are currently going on with Angola Airlines and also Mozambique. Mozambique Airlines used to fly into the country, but they suspended. Even Angola Airlines used to fly into the country, but they suspended. So we're trying to get them back to start flying into the country. Also, we've got our 2 local carriers, Proflight Zambia and Zambia Airways, that have got also good, extensive networks within the country. They fly to most of the major airports in the country, to Livingstone, Dola, Solwezi, Kasama, Mansa, Foe, Jeki, and so forth. But also, they also fly into the region. Like, for example, Proflight also flies to Johannesburg, they fly to Cape Town, they fly to Windhoek, they recently started flying to Maun in the region. And Zambia Airways also flies to Johannesburg, they fly to Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. So we have quite a lot going on in terms of connectivity in the region, but obviously we can do more. We want these connectivities to be more deeper and broader. We would like to see these local airlines, for example, increase in the size of the aircrafts that they use. Would like to see them increase frequencies when flying to these destinations, but also would like to see them increase in terms of the destinations, new destinations, locally, domestically, but also regionally, so that our dream of becoming a hub can actually be realized. We would also like to see, these domestic airlines at some point grow, that they start having direct flights, for example, into Europe, into London. I know it could look like it's a far-fetched dream, but it's something that can be done, and so we look forward to them growing and expanding into those regions. Well, for every destination, I think what is important is accessibility to those destinations. So, like our key tourism areas, such as Livingstone, Mvula, and the northern circuit, we believe are underserved right now. In Livingstone, for example, we've got very few airlines, international airlines, that fly into Livingstone. So we are talking to a number of airlines to start operations into Livingstone so that Livingstone can be accessible. Also, Mvula, it's currently accessed by domestic airline in Proflight. We'd like to see more airlines, like maybe even Zambia Airways, but also Mvula is an international airport, so it would be good to have direct connectivity into Mvula. So there's a lot that is being done in terms of infrastructure. Like I alluded to earlier on, government is also rehabilitating a lot of these airports. For example, in the northern circuit, Kasama, Mansa, there's a new airport, Kasaba Bay, that is also planned for reconstruction in a new area. So we believe that when all these projects are done, they're going to improve connectivity, and then they're going to improve tourism into those areas. Mm. Okay, so we do have engagements with stakeholders in the tourism industry, particularly in Livingstone. The Livingstone Tourism, the LTA. So we do have stakeholder engagements with them to make sure that when we bring airlines, and then tourists come, their service is at a certain level. Remember, we are competing with countries in the region, mm-hmm. and Livingstone is directly competing with Vic Falls on the other side. So things like customer service, I think, are very, very important, very key. The safety of the city also is very important. The cleanliness of the city is very important, and all these issues are brought to the attention of these stakeholders. But also, I think the facilities that are there are not sufficient. So there's obviously scope for us to grow, to have more bed space, more activities that tourists can do. When tourists come to Livingstone, the average stay is about 3 or so days, 3 or so nights, yeah. But you see, that can be expanded if you increase the number of activities, just to make it more diverse. It's not just the falls that people want to see. They want to do other extracurricular activities. But that can only be done if those infrastructures and activities are available. So it's important that the country deliberately tries to grow those areas. Most of the times when you want to attract investors, you just call for investors to come and invest. But I think if the approach is different, whereby you've got an identified piece of land or site, and then you attract people to come and invest in those areas, it makes it easier. If you ask investors to just come and look for their own site, do their own arrangements with the local authorities, it's very difficult. So I think we need to be very deliberate about how we approach investment and growth in this sector. Aviation and tourism go hand in hand. Obviously, aviation is a facilitator for tourism because tourists come through our airports and other means. And there's a lot of potential in this sector. We can diversify the economy with tourism. Tourism, I think, is a big driver for growth. But what it needs is more investment, more collaboration among stakeholders. Right now, the stakeholders are really not working hand in hand. That's why that Air Access Zambia project, I think, it's meant to increase collaboration among stakeholders. But the potential is very huge for tourism to start contributing to the GDP of the country, for example. So I think there's a lot of potential, and a lot of that potential is slowly being realized. But we just need to collaborate more and invest more in the sector.